Thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic schedule and helping us learn more about the education today, how it was back then, and it will be tomorrow. So, today we have on board Dr. V.K. Dadwal from Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. So, before initiating the interview, I would just like to give our viewers a brief description of the milestones that you've achieved till date and continue to carry the baton even further every day. So Dr. Dadwal obtained his postgraduate degree and PhD from Indian Agricultural Research Institute in plant psychology. Prior to joining IAST, he was the director and associate director of National Remote Sensing Center, a major center of ISRO, and had been the dean of Indian Institute of Remote Sensing in Dehradun. Concurrently, he was also director and in charge of the UN Center for Space Science and Technology in the entire Asia Pacific region. He has extensive international cooperation experience, being a co-member and leader of Indian delegation to UN Committee of Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. And finally, he's also been an integral and an indispensable member of the Indian delegation in international cooperation meetings held across all over the globe in US, Japan, and China. So to run through such a vast list of accolades and achievements across multiple domains would take days to shed light upon. So respecting the clock, I believe it's time to gather your insights on our campaign Thoughts on Education. So my first question, sir, for you is, you have held key positions at educational institutes throughout your professional career. What are the key factors that keep you connected with this sector?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kushagra Singh. It's a pleasure to join you and your publication and website, College Dunia. Just a minor correction. My subject was plant physiology. The second, what I would like to add is, I have switched between researcher and education continuously. Different organizations had different. So the Space Application Centers was purely research. IIRS was purely capacity building, mostly for mid-career professionals, but it also had a master's program, including an international master's program with Netherlands, ITC. National Remote Sensing Center was pure operational agency providing services to government and people. And IIST is a research institute, but is a deemed university.
Right.
So the first conclusion which one can draw is this research, science, technology, education are coherent whole. You develop, you learn, you teach, you share, you build capacity.
Yes, sir.
So even the current thinking is that from industry one should bring people to the universities, and university faculty should go out and learn from the industry. What are they doing? What are their needs? So I believe this overall, my movement across these domains is very essential for me to be a part of the education ecosystem. Plus, for teaching, you need to go on learning. Secondly, when you are, connected and you interact with youngsters, you also are appearing very young. It gives you more energy. You feel, you yourself feel younger when you deal with them. That I would say is the...
Right, sir. So if I talk about the leadership, so what exactly, according to you, is leadership? Because after holding so many positions at different institutions across the globe, what is that core aspect that makes you think is actually an integral part of being a leader? How do you define that?
So first is a leader has to listen. Two, he has to facilitate. Third, he has to focus. And also you should know the direction, among so many options you have to pick out which will take the students, the team, and the organization forward in proper direction. Speed can vary, but your direction must be appropriate. I think these are very much required. There are various other smaller issues, but I believe these, I've tried to see that these happen.
Right, sir. Very rightly said, sir. So, if we talk about the education systems in India and if we compare them to other foreign countries, they are structured very differently. So, in your experience, what can an inbound student who wants to enter an institution today, be it related to engineering, be it related to research, be it related to medical, so what can a student expect different in India as if we compare that to any other foreign university?
So, even if you read the new documents produced by AICTE and even see the new education policy areas, our education is to have large syllabus,
Hmm.
teach a lot of workload, and expect student to know everything.
Hmm.
The examination, learning examination. The foreign systems have 3 or 4 very entire different or diametrically opposite in some cases than our system. One is they allow student to choose. And so, in fact, in India also we allowed people to choose. So, if you find out Professor Satish Dhawan, who was chairman ISRO for 70s to mid 80s, he had a science and a English degree, language degree.
Hmm.
But now, because of the way we, the universities and people have defined job, they expect you to have graduation, masters, and PhD in a single stream and then come to university and teach. So one is this openness to learn different things, have diversified, knowledge base, and building the student interest is lacking. Why and how it has come, that is a separate. The second important part is the experience, problem solving, and allowing to learn is more outside. It can be in form of short break, it can be field experiment, it can be field excursion, it can even be visit, it can be permission to go to a lab even abroad and work and come back. So those type of experiences are built, which are much less in our system. Third is our evaluation is too much focused. Although we have shifted to from annual to semester, we grew up in annual system. So everything depended on those 3 hours and what your mind can recall and your fingers can write. That determined your fate. But now there are, like in our institution now, we have quizzes, we have online, during the course teacher continuous assessment, and the final is less than 50% weight. Earlier it used to be 100. Right? So we have come a long way, but I still believe we could do even more in this direction.
Very rightly said, sir.
Yeah, the other part is we do not encourage or perhaps have not established ways for doing group activities and evaluating individual contribution to group activity. So I would believe our students at the end will come out as individualists. They will not come as team member, understanding group dynamics, and then taking whole team together. What would be required in the modern world? So team membership, team contribution, working in with a very diverse set of people, including international. Those type of things, I think we have not been able to. Of course, the other one, some people can claim that we don't have access to the most advanced lab in every subject or every discipline and specialization. But that is more a question of finance and number of colleges we have.
Very rightly said, and I think that also answers my next question, which was that we in India there are so many different states. People come from different backgrounds, different cultures. So, how much important it is for any university to attract students from different cultures? Because when we interact with people who are outside our domain, we learn so many different things apart from education, but to understand how they perceive, how they react to different things. Because if I talk about myself, sir, I recently graduated. I did my MBA from I University, which is based in Spain. So there in Spain, there were people coming from different backgrounds, and as you said, that the curriculum must be shifted to giving equal weightage to the practical as well as to the theoretical way of teaching, right? So what I learned, what my key learning from there was that when you only participate in those group meetings, that 40% of the weightage that is involved in the examination, that is where the actual learning takes place. And when you interact with people coming from different countries, you learn a lot. So that is my next question, that how welcoming is your university to students of different races or coming from different economic backgrounds?
So, if you take IIST, we take students who have cleared IIT JEE Advanced, not the main.
Yes, sir.
So they are in top whatever percent you want to say. Secondly, we follow the UGC reservation. So there is a reservation for SC, ST, other backward classes, physically challenged, everything is on. But the most crucial part is the number of states from which a class comprises here. Almost is 18 to 20 states. So our BTech undergraduate class, whether it is aerospace, avionics, or engineering physics, from the places, from their origin and their place of doing high school, is exceedingly diverse. In fact, our NIRF ranking are very high because of this diversity.
Very rightly said.
So they simply have to apply and they should have the score, and we take them.
And as you said that you're just not attracting, but you're actually getting the cream of the students which are right at the top of the mountain. So the level of students coming to the college, it answers coming, whether it coming from different backgrounds, but yes, multiple backgrounds, but yes, still the cream that is being attracted to the college is, unparalleled as compared to other institutions. Very rightly said, sir. So my next question for you is on a personal level. What do you think your roles and responsibilities to the university and to the students are, like as a director?
So basically, what we have to ensure is that whatever are our aspiration and standard of teaching are followed by the faculty. The second is we should be able to provide the best to the students. And when you are in engineering, the internship, the lab, the engineering, exposure. And we are fortunate that we have linkage to ISRO. We are an autonomous institution of the Department of Space.
Yes, sir.
So we can tap on the ISRO connection and send our people. So something which other student may have a slightly longer path or more, you facilitate. More importantly, I believe maintaining the standards and expecting high standards from students is important.
Right.
So that what you score here and what you learn here, both are valued outside.
Exactly.
So I would say, so the director is basically a facilitator.
Yes, sir.
Because there is faculty to teach, there are heads of department, there are deans, students have PhD kinds. So he actually sits in a separate administrative block and see. this whole
Right.
machine works. That's
So you basically have to be the one who is connecting with the students as well as, on the other hand, the faculty, connecting the bridge between attracting the right students and then maintaining that level, number one, but at the same time communicating the interests of the students to the faculty to alter their way of teaching at some times also maybe.
no, these things won't happen here. One,
Mm.
because in IIST, whenever there is a class test, the answer sheets are shown to the student directly by the faculty, so they interact.
Mm.
Also, when the students come in the initial year, we identify a mentor also,
Mm.
and then there are various clubs,
Mm.
each under a faculty.
Mm.
And then students are encouraged for any problem go to their head of the department. Plus,
Right.
separately, we have a dean student activities.
Mm.
So the need for students to come to director are very, very rare.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, because we have established a system where the faculty and students are not segregated.
Mm.
We are also helped by the fact that we have a 7:1 ratio of student and faculty.
Which is
For a
great.
B.Tech and M.Tech, around 700 students, we have 100 faculty.
That is great, sir.
Most of our faculty have postdoctoral and very substantial have gone abroad, etc. So I think they are aware of the.
Mm.
That is.
Right,
Plus,
sir.
I would also compliment our students. They are self-driven and they are very bright.
Mm. Mm. That comes naturally because if you're being selected at IIST, there has to be something special about you which is not there with the rest of the people.
So the director really doesn't have to
Yeah, I understand.
come in. He has very limited, role or requirement to come in between student and faculty.
Got it, sir. So that brings me to the penultimate question, sir. If I talk about the biggest challenges that you see, both for higher education in general and for the university specifically, because if we talk about the NEP 2020, you must be well aware of that, which is, I think, a great initiative by the Indian government. So do you consider it as a challenge or as a challenge that is to be accepted and worked upon?
See, NEP is also aspirational in a sense. And it has some far-reaching, recommendation. So the challenge is how we will codify each of that
Exactly.
directive.
Yeah.
Then how we will implement, because one hat fits all doesn't really work. Like we are a research institution, as I said, 7:1 ratio.
Yes, sir.
And focused only on space. So if we were to given do's and don'ts like a general college, it will create a lot of issues for us.
True.
So I would say the devil is in the detail and implementation, not in the direction, aspiration, or what is to be achieved.
Right, sir. And my final question for you, sir, is any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students? Because if we see that these 2, 3, or 4 years of college, be it any college or university in the country, they define those next 40 years of what a student does. Because there are students who follow the footsteps of what their parents advise or what their elder siblings do. But how important it is today for any youth to be guided on the path that he decides for himself? How important is that?
This is so one, generally I would say it is important to follow your interest, but it can't be unbridled. You have to factor in your circumstances, your parents, financial, the type of organization where you studied, and what opportunities are available.
Hmm.
Also, we have to factor in whether you had, that type of exposure to really know what you want.
Yeah, that's true.
So while it may be very easy for me to say students should follow their heart, but the point is students may not have been exposed to a world where they can determine where their heart lies.
Exactly.
So although it is a nice principle, but you just can't make it as mandatory. The second uh, thing is uh, many people bloom late.
Hmm.
So whether our system is able to. Third, uh, when you are in a subject and your heart and mind doesn't work to produce the result, I find that we have not created safety valve and outlet to switch and do something which NEP does. So
Hmm.
here it is still 1 and 0. I mean,
Hmm.
if you don't do that well, if you don't get 163 credit, you must spend 4 year and not have a BTech degree. Which I believe is a very very unfair and so I would say one, take advice, think, talk to friend, commit decision. I mean, I believe a middle path, going to both extremes. There. And secondly, the students may sometimes feel that subject is not of the interest or what is being taught we will not use in the life. But as a duty, I would still request them to do and clear to the best of their ability. To in every challenge, this ability to do best,
Hmm.
adverse, good, or whatever. And because once this is over, it will never come back. So they will move forward.
Yep.
So to put in their best effort and move forward, I think this would be the other two things to the student, I would say. More importantly, they can listen to teachers, their friends, seniors. So then they can decide. And I'm sure everybody will not have equal opportunity to decide.
Very rightly said. But sir, I'm running out of questions, and your knowledge is way beyond my knowledge. Obviously, that is true. But the way you answered all of the questions in such professionalism, at the same time being precisely clear about what the message actually was, it's really great for us to have you on board and enlighten us with your thoughts on education. So that's it from my side, sir. And thank you so much once again for squeezing out time from your hectic schedule, because we know it's, I mean, the esteemed dignitary as you are, so it's really tough to get some time. But thank you so much once again for giving us the time for this
Yeah.
interview, sir.
Thank you, Kushagra. I am sure you will sort of polish it up, and because sometimes the answers can be rambling and incoherent.
No,
So
sir, I don't think
feel
this interview needs
you
any
feel
polishing
free
at all.
to sort of
It
yeah.
doesn't need any
Uh,
sort of polishing,
like that.
to be honest, sir.
So it was a pleasure. Huh? Thank you so much.
Same as this side, sir. Have a great day, and it was my pleasure interacting with you on a personal level as well, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Have a great day.
Thank you.